Hello, hello, and welcome to Brazen. I am on the verge of tears already because of what we just talked about before we pressed record. This is such a full circle moment for our incredible, amazing, talented, just fucking brilliant powerhouse of a woman, Savannah, that we have on, Miss Savannah Wade. She just told me, I did not know this. She just told me that before she ever started working with me, which we have worked together in so many fun ways, and I'm excited to touch on it. But I heard that you were listening to the podcast before you even found my Instagram. So what a fucking full circle moment that you're here on the podcast. You're here on Brazen now to tell your story, to share your wisdom like medicine for so many humans out there. And I know that when they hear your voice and your story and your wisdom, and also just this incredible piece that you wrote that you wanted to touch on. I just read what Savannah wrote that she'd like to talk about, one of the many things. And then I'm going to introduce you to Savannah Wade and just fucking prepare to fall in love. From the moment I met Savannah, I was like, I adore this woman. I love her so much. Like, you are such a beacon of light. It's incredible. She wrote here one of the things she wants to talk about is what it's like to be in the middle of a self worth journey and still be struggling with that voice of the inner critic and having your past acting as a big shadow over your life. But she said that she thinks that showing that you can be in the middle of your journey and still, in all capitals, be succeeding and doing that by trying, by doing it is such an important story to share. And I couldn't agree more. That is the story to share. Like I said before we pressed record, like we all need to know that there's no fucking finish line to this. Like the finish line is what you decide it is. So decide that it's something attainable. Decide that every day there's a fucking finish line that you cross for, I mean, fuck's sake, it's so important. So let me introduce you to Savannah. I'm going to read what she wrote and then I'm going to introduce you from how I would introduce you to like a group of people. I like, we're just out on the town. I'm like, this is Savannah. Let me introduce you. Savannah says, I am a writer and a creative entrepreneur. I'm in the middle of my self-care and self-worth journey after a childhood of poverty and a lifetime of spicy brain. She's currently sitting in gratitude and appreciation for living in the best era of her life, for creating a holistic harmony with many teachers and many guides to create a life worth living. And let me tell you that Savannah Wade is by far one of the most talented writers I've ever met in my entire life. She speaks in poems. So, like, whatever you're doing, prepare to be absolutely enamored. Prepare, like, I told her before we pressed record, she's like, oh, I told her she's so creative. She's like, oh, I try. I'm like, girl, you don't even try. Like, it's just you. It pours and oozes out of you. Savannah is also one of the kindest humans. Like, you'll be able to feel that before she even really says too much. You probably can already feel it. She has spoke and shared and been vulnerable, and she's listened to her intuition, and she's delivered messages, and all of this just in the time I've known her inside of Women Rising or the retreats or Brazen Sisterhood. Like, I am just so grateful that Savannah and I crossed paths. I am so grateful that she is here today, and I'm just grateful knowing that she's going to come back too, because we already talked about it.
Oh yeah.
Savannah, thank you for being here. I
I'm
just
so happy to. I'm sorry. I'm already crying. I was like, I was gonna hold myself together so strong, and I'm like, nope, it's happening. Okay, cool,
I
cool,
just
cool.
love you so much. Savannah, you want to introduce yourself?
I'd be happy to. So I'm Savannah Wade. Like Heather so just eloquently put that I'm a writer, I'm a creative entrepreneur, I'm kind. Well, that's a difficult thing for me to say, weirdly enough, and I think it's because I have a lot of connections to my past where I, I argue to say no one's a kind person when they're growing up, especially when you're a survivor. You
Yeah.
are feast or famine for a majority of the things that you go through. And kindness was something that I wanted to cultivate when I grew up. It's something that I really wanted to embrace and hold on to. And so I'm very happy that that comes through and that someone as wonderful and incredible as you could see it.
Mm.
Okay. Let me get it together just like a little bit. Okay.
You're the most beautiful human being I've ever met. Inside,
Thank you.
outside, every piece of you. You're such a beautiful human.
Thank you. Um, I think the best way to introduce myself from myself is to talk about what my mother calls a good flashlight. And this is something I think you will find some beauty in. So I went through a really dark period when I was 11 to 14 years old. Um, some call it spiritual warfare, some call it I don't even know the best way to call it, but it was not good. That's we'll blanket statement, horrible event to go through. And I finally told my mom what was going on, and she was just like, some people in this world are good flashlights. And that is a twofold problem in a way, because on one hand you attract people, like you're charismatic, you're kind, you're funny, you're sweet, but on the other hand it also attracts the people who want to take that from you. And as someone who that's like an emblem that I've really held on to myself, is being a good flashlight and the responsibility that comes with being a good flashlight. Because like whenever I joined the Brazen Sisterhood, it is like a sea of lighthouses. Like it's so many good flashlights because it's so many women who, oh, I'm gonna cry. Okay, get together. It's so many women who have gone through so much and have just been so strong and afraid of being strong that their light has dimmed. And meeting someone like you who is like, no, fuck that, get that light out. It doesn't matter. Like, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful.
Hmm.
Ooh,
I love having you there so much.
thank you.
I, when I created the Brazen Sisterhood, I was talking to Jennifer B about this not too long ago. When I created it, I swear to you, I manifested and co-created every single one of you women.
Mm,
I I am blown away by the women in this group and how it continues to grow and the vulnerability. And just like you said, you are one of the most incredible lighthouses. And there's so many women in there that are. And being a lighthouse, especially in dark times, whether the dark times are around you, in your community, in your home, in your school, I mean, in your country, in your state, whatever, being a lighthouse in a dark time is such a gift and such an honor. And it's also so much work and it's
mm-hmm.
so heavy. And it takes a very special type of person to be a lighthouse,
It
to
does.
have the courage to weather the storm. I mean, that might sound super fucking corny, but it's so true. Like you're weathering that fucking storm day in, day out, and you're not falling and you're staying strong. To keep a soft heart through that,
Yeah.
to to stay soft, to not let the world break you, to not let it harden you.
Mm-hmm.
That
To
is
be
something. Go ahead.
I would just say to be kind and sensitive, because this is something that I think I fight with a lot, is the act of sensitivity. It's the
Mm,
like go through life so light-footed sometimes I'm afraid I'm going to break glass just by stepping forward. But that's no way to live. That's no way to continue living, where if I move forward, it needs to be where I am breaking glass, where I am not afraid to rattle some cages, to shine brightly, because that's what it is. And it is a dangerous act. It's a dangerous act to shine brightly and to be yourself. But I've learned both in the easiest and most beautiful ways and the hardest of ways that when you strengthen yourself while maintaining your light, you are indomitable. There is nothing that anyone can take away from you. And this has been my hardest lesson and probably my most present lesson, right? Because
mm,
like you said, I'm in the middle of my self-care journey and I'm like having these like realizations and these like wow moments. And it's just crazy to me that I I feel like I'm learning something every day, and I'm nowhere near the end of where I feel I'm ready to be, but I'm exactly where I need to be now.
that's fucking delicious. That's a
Yeah.
good place to be.
Hell yeah.
What is one of your end goals? What
Mm,
is a day where you will look in the mirror and say, Savannah, you fucking did it?
that's such a good question. Um, if you had asked me that very same question when I was 21, it was to be alive at 31, which I just turned 31 and I'm there today. So, yeah.
Yeah, damn it, girl, you got me good on that one.
Yeah, I know. I'm really sorry, but it's so true.
Oh, I'm just so glad you're here.
Thank you. And
Happy birthday.
thank you. And I absolutely think that if you asked me that today, I have a much better answer. Or maybe not much better answer, but I have an answer that is more aligned with someone who is healthy, happy, and holistic, which I am very proud to say that I'm working on becoming. Um, I want to have a novel out. It could be self-published, it could be by a traditional publisher. I don't care. I want a physical book in someone's hands for them to be like, "Damn, this is good." That is it for me.
Love that for you.
Yeah.
That's going to be one hell of a day, lady.
I know. And it's coming. My I just went to a winery with my partner yesterday, and we're half drunk on the porch, just relaxing while we're waiting for him to sober up so he can drive us home. And we're having crackers and cheese. And he's like, we're having a very casual conversation. And finally, he's like, Savannah, I need to tell you something, which you never want to hear from your partner in that state, for the record. And I was like, yeah. He was like, I need to be honest with you. You need to get your book out now. So I need you by the end of the month to give it to friends and family to read so we can start getting it ready. And I was like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I'm so scared. And he's like, exactly. That's why you need to do it now. So
Oh,
I pulled,
what an incredible partner.
I know. He knows he's amazing. It's so frustrating sometimes.
Girl, I feel you. Travis is so good. He's so good that I'm
Mhm.
like, damn it. Even when he does silly shit, I'm like, I can't even be a little bit upset because look how great you are.
Exactly. I'm the same exact way. Oh my God.
Can
Ugh.
I, whenever you're ready, can I read it?
Oh my God, yes. Oh, that's like even say that's so scary. So, just a little byline about it. So, it is
Yeah.
a Southern Gothic horror novel.
Mm.
hmm And it's supposed
Okay.
to Gillian Flynn meets Flannery O'Connor, so just like very like wisteria, sentient kudzu, like just very luscious and green and full of history.
Mm.
Yes.
Speak more to my soul, please.
I know. It's like I'm so excited for it because I was actually reading it about an hour ago before I hopped on here, and it's it's so funny to read your own work because like I've read this thing 30 times, if not more, and it's like, oh, I'm so done with it, but it's like, no, and then I get sucked into it. I'm like, no, this is something I wrote. And it's like it's such a beautiful experience to create and to make things with your own two hands, whether that's, running on a computer, whether it's pottery, whether it's painting, like literally anything that you can just have your fingers into and you
Yeah,
can say it's mine. There's no better feeling.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Mm.
That's how I feel about I mean, many things. As you know, like we've spoke so many times, like my artistic journey, my creativity journey, my getting back to self, getting back to that wholeness, letting it flow. It's been such a journey. And my garden's always been a staple. Like it's one of the foundational pieces of my creativity. Like I don't just garden. Like I go fucking hard. Like I'm
Oh yeah.
companion planting. I know where my flowers are and my herbs and like what's going to draw on the butterfly there and like it's an art to me and it's something that I love and putting my hands in the dirt it helps me connect and I just feel like how I feel in that process has to be how you feel as you're writing and as
Yeah.
you're creating. Like that, hearing you speak about that novel, like what does it feel like to know that that's something that beautiful and it's going to touch so many lives is what you created because of your passion.
It's horrifying. It's absolutely horrifying. To be completely honest, I mean, because it's I mean, we have discussed this at length. It's the idea of being seen. It is
Yep.
it is one of the most profound and beautiful experiences you can go through because being seen for who you are and what you experience is incredible. And I think and I'm not just writing a novel. I'm writing three novels. I'm writing two chapbooks.
Yep.
I'm writing three collections of poetry. I'm the things that I'm working on feel like weights of the soul
Hmm.
where it's just pouring out of me and it feels like I'm being unloaded. But it's a
Yeah.
horrifying because it's the lighter I feel, the more I'm like, I don't know how to move now in this world the way I am.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that. That is so good.
It's it it's not a traumatizing process because it's kind of the opposite of trauma in a way, where
Yeah.
it's what's the thing where you have triggers and then you have glimmers? It's a
Yeah.
glimmer. Yes,
Mm.
that's exactly what it is. When the unloading, when I write, when I create, when I submit something to a magazine, even if it gets rejected, it doesn't matter. I submitted it, and that's the feeling. It's the feeling of finally feeling like I don't know. Okay, I'm going to try to describe something, and I need you to bear with me.
Yeah.
Do you know that feeling whenever you walk into like an apothecary or like 1930s candy shop and it's just the jars of candy and like
Mhm.
that's the feeling. It's like having a jar of sweets surrounding you at all times. Where it's
Oh,
just yes.
oh my gosh. I know exactly. Like that's so well put. You pulled that right out of the fucking energy and
Hell
gave it.
yeah.
I feel like that's why you're so good. Like
Mm,
you you were just so clearly put here to do so many things, to bring
mm,
so much beauty to the world with yourself, with your words, with your smile, with your love. Like look, like you're able to create such beauty so easily. Like it's
yeah.
so natural for you.
Thank you. And so one thing I was holding on to when I came in to talk to you is something I was okay. Fuck it. Right? Fuck it. We're gonna talk about it. Okay. So you've said sometimes on the podcast, and I think once or twice in person that you used to work for like a paranormal research group. Um, when I was a kid, I saw things, like very intensely saw things. And it was that sensitivity, that good flashlight energy, all of that, where I was able to see things where it I feel that I'm a very intuitive person. I can literally tap into things and it read back to me. And because of that, it it has led a life of stepping on glass. That truly is the best way to put it. Because when I was a kid, I saw horrifying things that a 5-year-old should never see. And I did have a good person there to mentor me, which has always been my complaint out of life until recently that I haven't had a good mentor.
Mm.
Um, and because at the time it was my grandmother who was encouraging me to see things, encouraging me to further
Mm.
the intuition, and it kind of made me an engine in a good and terrible way. Like
Yeah.
and it's very strange and very mysterious and very painful, but it's very present.
Oh my gosh. That is so I speak to so many more people than I ever thought I would
Mhm.
about their experiences as children. And especially when it comes to because in the work that we do, in the retreats in Women Rising, like the different ways that we have worked together in the Brazen Sisterhood, we do touch sometimes on the paranormal end of things, the other end of the scale, if you will. Not that it's necessarily bad, but some of it, like you said, it can feel that way. It can feel horrifying.
Mhm.
It can feel so uneasy. It can be traumatizing.
Yeah.
And um, I have a lot of personal beliefs about that, even more than I ever did when I was in the paranormal group and being with them. I was with Illinois Paranormal Research Group for I think it was like right around 7 years. We would travel to like Ashmore Estates. We went to Chicago, up near Chicago, and we did like this whole presentation and then did an investigation. And it was very much, just like you see in the shows. Like there's like a whole
Yeah.
table and there's all the monitors and everybody has tools and at the time, I was still trying to figure out how I felt about it because I knew that I had always seen things and felt things and understood things in a different way. I knew I was different. Um, I was very aware of that. And then when I got into that, like I got there because I spoke to her about a lot of things, including what had just happened with there was a gentleman, well, that's pretty nice of me to say. There was a man that I was engaged to when I was quite young, and our home was full of a lot of really heavy energy because of the fights and because of the words and the actions.
Mm.
Um, and that physically manifested into a lot of really terrifying shit in that home that I experienced, and it put me into such a state that I couldn't even take a bath by myself because I was so petrified to have my face covered even for a moment, while because we didn't have a working shower other
Mm.
than in the basement. That was not a nice basement, so like there was no fucking way. And like he had to like sit there with me, so that this person that I was having difficulty trusting to begin with, and I definitely played my own parts as well there. He was not the only guilty person here. um but it was just so horrifying that like the thought of, even now, like the thought of being in that
Yeah.
home covering in my face with water was terrifying. Like we have pictures
Yeah.
of things that I actually ended up having to burn years ago because they were something that, like, even when I told my story to people, only that piece of it, not the other things I had experienced, not the stuff like you're talking about from
Yeah.
childhood, which honestly, there's not so much from childhood. It started for me in my like late teens, early 20s. But I ended up having to burn them because even though that was the only way people would truly believe what I was telling them,
Yeah.
it was too much to have evidence of because it
Yeah.
was easy to look at and go right back to those states. So
You let it
now
go.
I'm mm-hmm.
You let it go
Oh
for a better
yeah,
life.
right. And like now, as I speak to people all the time, and these conversations, like there's always this piece to all of our stories of like, hey, did you have something like this as well?
Mm.
And I just think that it's us learning how to use this antenna that we have, because again, as my beliefs have grown, we did a lot of investigations at a place called Quarters One, which is one of the biggest military base, or on one of the biggest military bases at the Rock Island Arsenal. And the home, I want to say it's like the second in line behind. This might be totally incorrect, but I think it's the second in line behind the White House to be a home where the higher ups are allowed to live. So we did a lot of investigations there with the public, and they're still doing them actually, which is super fucking cool. But
Yeah.
there was so much heaviness in there.
Yeah.
So many women who were servants of sorts,
Mm-hmm.
who were just so much brutality in so many
Absolutely.
ways.
Mm-hmm.
And so it made me understand things in a bigger way, especially as I came into this work, because I was like, dude, it's an antenna. That's all. That's what, especially those of us who, like, I think of the rabbit ears from back in the day when we had to take a clothes hanger. Like that's
Yeah.
how I envision it. Like you have to know how to use this gift. You have to know how to use that antenna, because if you live in a home or you're cultivating an energy that is dark,
Mm-hmm.
you are going to have dark ass shit around you, and that is not something to fool with. So
Absolutely.
if you're open to it, I would love to know any parts you're willing to share.
Ooh, I how about this? I'll do a little dealio with you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna share the worst thing that ever happened to me.
Okay. Okay. Oh, we're going for it. Okay.
Because the reason I say this is because like I truly believe that it's important for anyone else who's experienced it, for anyone else who might be experiencing it, like as a word to the wise, to if this is happening to you, you know someone's happening to you, get help kind of thing.
Hmm.
Um, so when I was 11, so from ages literally like 3 to 11, I was seeing things. So like people on my periphery, there was a woman who was hanging who would show up every time I took a shower, which is when you said that story, it really
Um,
like hit for me. And all sorts of things like that. But it got kind of like I got used to it. So it's like, oh, that's just, there's a woman there kind of thing. However, when I was 11, in the middle of the day, I heard someone speaking to me. And this rarely happened. Usually they only showed themselves to me. It wasn't really a communication. So this is different. I couldn't see them, but I could hear them. And it sounded almost like my own intuition. Like it sounded like a voice in my head. So I talked to it as in like, like it was giving me ideas for creative stories. It was telling me how wonderful I was, lots of praise. And then one day it gave itself a name, and that's when everything changed. It said its name was Nathan. And for whatever reason, from that day forward for 3 years, oh boy, I feel it already. Hold on. It was the utmost torture. I was unable to sleep. I was told that I should die. You name it, every type of degradation and pain was given to me by this voice. And it was such a helpless feeling because to this day, I'm like, I wish I was crazy. I wish that it could be written away by some explanation of if I
Yeah.
was on medication or whatever, it could have gone away.
Yeah.
But what ended up happening is it was the last straw at 14 years old. I was laying on a bathroom floor, huddled up, and it had said, "You need to get rid of yourself today." And I was like, okay. And as soon as I said okay, I started crying. And for whatever reason, my mom, who is as sensitive as me, if not more, bowls into the bathroom and is like, what's going on? I know something's wrong. You need to tell me. You haven't been okay for a while. You need to tell me. And I finally told her. And she was like, then she gave me her beautiful speech about being a good flashlight. And then she's like, we're going to get you help. I don't know how, I don't know who, but we're going to get you help. And she managed to find a medium named Cookie, which I will never forget. And Cookie went to my childhood home, where I felt the most safe and felt the most protected, and got rid of it. It was 2.5 hours of feeling almost like a leech being pulled off of you. And it suckered to like the bottom of my chest, and that's exactly how it felt. And as soon as it was over, I felt nothing. And that absence was a pain that it took years to deal with, because the absence of having that gone was a pain in and of itself, almost as worse as the pain of it being there. And yeah, it was horrible. And I, like I said, that happened when I was 14 and I'm 31, and I still think about it. I still think about it, and it crops up, but I've never heard it again. She closed me off that day, and that is another reason why meeting you and doing the wonderful things at the retreat and stuff has like brought me back to my intuition. And I'm doing a lot more protection, doing a lot more cleansing, a lot more dealing with it. And so I do feel more open, but I my intuition closed itself off that day at 14 years old. And it was, like I said, it was a pain. And yeah, that's 100% the worst thing that's ever happened to me. And I only laugh not out of it
For
being
sure.
funny. Yeah, yeah. I laugh because that is my natural reaction to expressing the story.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there
Yeah.
has to be something. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that.
You're welcome.
How are you feeling after sharing that?
Ooh, I feel lighter, which is
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Good.
Because it's such a toss up, because I've told very few people in my life. And it's a scary thing to share, because like I said, like if what had happened to me, and if you lose it started again, I would have 100% gone to counseling, gone to, well, I do therapy, but you know what I mean. Like
Right.
I would have pursued a path of neurological care,
Mm-hmm.
and I did eventually for other things, but for that, it never came up again. Like it was so strange. Like it felt like a leech that just cropped up and attached itself.
I just need you to, can we just like take a couple deep breaths together right
Yes,
now again?
absolutely.
Okay. I just need you to sit in your body, because like if you that's so horrifying.
Hmm.
And the fact that you just shared it the way that you did, like I feel like it's so necessary as your coach that we, like we've talked about signaling safety from the
Yeah.
incredible Kate Northrup. Go check her out, one of my favorite mentors. We need to signal some safety to your body. Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Let's just take some inhales and exhales.
Okay.
Dang, lady.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I I just want to thank you also for a perspective that I never in my wildest dreams thought I would ever have the opportunity to be honored enough to hear.
Mm.
It's kind of mind blowing because speaking of Illinois Paranormal Research Group, when we did that, because it was myself and just like the most incredible group of human beings, like we had
Mm.
the best group of humans. We would go to homes sometimes,
Yeah. Oof.
and there's a specific home that was in Rock Island, and I remember being there with one of the other mediums in the group, Anne, who since passed away. So much love to Anne. She was one of the best humans.
Mm.
Um, and it was one of the times I realized just how much I was able to tap in, because like we would go around the house and write down things without speaking in each of the rooms. And, we were very organized about it. And then we'd come together and compare notes. And like we were both skeptics at heart. We
Yeah.
wanted to really see. And I remember that with that home, the family had been being, I don't want to say tortured, because
Mm.
it wasn't to that extreme. I wouldn't say based off the conversations, but tormented. Um, and I never got to hear their story of what it felt like
Mm.
before and after.
Yeah.
I have my own story from when I lived in East Moline with the home I was telling you about. There was a lot of things that happened there that were, I still don't like to think about a lot of pieces of that, because it just doesn't feel good or necessary to go back to.
Absolutely.
And hearing your story, I just never thought I would have the honor of talking to someone. Like, it makes me think of that home and those people, because when we left, Anne and I knew that we had removed something very dark from that home, and
Good.
it was from the land.
Oh, oh, whoa.
And yeah,
Yeah.
um and it came with more than one. I'm not a huge fan of the word entity, just because of the fact that it can be so misconstrued, but
Yeah.
there was more than one entity that was in that home. And I have to say thank you from that perspective, because as the person who has gone into a home before, and I don't ask that many questions. And I'm usually not the person that speaks to the homeowners to begin with. That was somebody else in our group for the most part, because I don't, A, it wasn't my job. And B, I don't want to have any information. I want to go
Yeah.
in blind. I
Yeah.
want to feel it and know it that way. So thank you for sharing in so many ways, including that one.
Yeah, you're so welcome. And I think what's important, part of the reason to share it as well is to say, like, to go through something like that and I'm here. Like I said, when
Yeah.
I was 21, my dream was to be alive at 31. And like, I have grown, I have improved, I have become so much stronger. I won't say because of it, because I don't necessarily believe that trauma equals strength,
Right.
but it's given me grit, and that is undeniable.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You are so wise. It's almost it's almost like take your breath away sometimes when you
Mhm.
speak.
Mhm. Thank you.
And yeah, and that wisdom, I fucking understand. A lot of the time, wisdom is born in pain, and it's born
Mhm.
in hardship, and it's born in sometimes the trauma. And I'm just so grateful that you're sharing this, because if you felt pulled to share this, there's somebody that's going to hear this. And whether you or myself or both of us receiving messages like, holy fuck,
Yeah.
I have something I got to tell you.
Yep.
Like, because it's something that you keep to yourself for the majority of your life, sometimes even like you don't speak about it, because like you said, like we live in a society that has been so drained of life.
Yes, and vulnerability. Like
Yeah.
it is so lacking in
Mm-hmm.
people. Before I met my partner, I was dating, and it was such an interesting, I mean, this might be a weird comparison, but I just feel that the vulnerability in people both connecting romantically and in friendship and in even colleagues is so I don't know. Once again, my brain is doing the thing where it's doing an image instead of an actual word. So like spider
Yeah.
webby,
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
yeah, where it's just sticky but not really strong. Like it's just sort of
Yes.
like I'm tactile,
Yeah.
and it makes me so sad because like I'm the most. I don't say I'm the most vulnerable, but like I love expressing myself and love opening myself up to people. And so to do that and it be in a world that seems to forsake it in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
or rather believes in punishment for it. Like
Yeah.
you pursued somebody who wasn't that interested in you. Well, it's because I liked them. If they didn't
Yeah.
like me, they should have said so.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, and I think that our community and other communities like it, we do have that very much alive in our society, the what we were just saying.
Mhm.
But I feel like the community that we have built in the Brazen Sisterhood and so many other communities out there, like we are changing that, because we make society.
Oh yeah.
And for those of us, I mean, it's really any age, but really those of us between like, I'm going to say 27, because if when you're in your 20s, you're a toddler, just go be a
Yeah,
toddler human. Like, don't worry about actual adult stuff right now. Be a toddler adult and have fun. So,
absolutely.
like 27 to like 45 right now, we're sitting in this space where we're like, it's our fucking turn and
Mhm.
something has to change.
Absolutely.
And like, a part, I love what you said about colleagues, especially because in every single area of my life, I think of like when I worked for Sephora, especially, like I was doing these meetings. The girls hated me. They had to have hated me because I felt so intuitively pulled to ask everyone to speak about like how they were feeling during the holidays, because it was fucking working in retail and that sucks huge dick during the
Hmm.
holidays. And Sephora was a difficult company to work for. And so I wanted to open it up. It was a Christmas beginning of a Christmas party or like a Christmas meeting. And I just felt like I needed to connect with these women more in such a bigger way, because we were going on like fucking 4 hours of sleep, working 12-hour shifts. Like we were exhausted, had to wear makeup in these heavy smocks with this fluorescent lighting in it. Anybody from the outside was like, oh, it's just one of those Sephora girls, but it was rough, rough. And you had to be so fucking pretty while you were doing it. Like it was just rough. And I asked, and there was these women that opened up, and one of them opened up about something that she had gone through that was more difficult than I could have ever imagined. And you could tell in her voice and in her heart and in everything that she was like, I needed this. I needed to speak to women. And then there was some women that were rolling their eyes and they were like, ugh, why are we doing this? And that was exactly how I felt then and so many times. And now when you said that, like we have got to reattach as humans. Like we
Yes.
have this society that we are shifting right now. It has been so based in these very just fucking barely there hollow relationships that are just enough for us to still be able to go grind and work and fucking make money for the system. And I'm not trying to sound like that person, but like fuck, like that's what has happened. Like we are all working our lives away without genuine connection. And the system is breaking down because the system is not going to ever work. It never was going to work. People crave connection in a way that they never fucking have before. Like,
Agreed.
and to hear someone else talk about that, about how it's so necessary that, especially in corporations, I have a woman that I work with who I'm not going to go too deep into it. She has a very high position in a very high place.
Hmm.
And she was talking to me about how a woman who, this is a very male dominated space, it's a very political ish space. And it's mostly men. And this woman was leading this meeting that was very important. And she stopped in the meeting, this very bold, very like, she learned the language of men type of woman. So
Yeah.
she's speaking that language and she halted the meeting and she stopped and said, how does everybody feel about this?
Oh, I love that. Oh,
Oh, it gives me
love
shivers
that.
still. And the client that I was talking to, she's like, I just looked at her and I was like, what a fucking powerful woman. What a
Hmm.
powerful leader to be able to be just let's do it step by step and then to stop it with such intention and with a command that's in love and not force, commanding the room. How do you feel?
Right.
Oh, that is what we are bringing back by creating more substantial relationships that are so highly rooted in vulnerability and transparency. So fucking thank you, because you
Of
again,
course.
the things that come to you so naturally, like this is you are a lighthouse, my dear. You're a good flashlight and you are the best lighthouse.
Thank you. I think it has to do with it. I think this will be so relatable. I feel so much sometimes where it's like I do think about the concept of like the fundamentals of communication and the fundamentals of care. On the other side, I think about deep intuition. I think about how the world works. Like it's the amount of space within self is route to be exhausting. It can
Yeah.
be. But when you have a good support system, when you take care of yourself, when you find a good community, those things become easier. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing I really want to share with people is like, you can be sensitive, you can care, you can be vulnerable. You may need some discretion with who and how, but that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't take away that is who you are and that you need to share that.
Mm. Can we talk about, I almost said, can you talk about, like, I'm not somehow fucking right on the same boat with you, rowing beside you in the
Let's
sunshine.
go.
Let's talk about what it feels like to be so highly sensitive in these ways that we've discussed, on top of having a spicy brain and navigating that and understanding how to work with a spicy brain. Just for anybody that's listening, hey, listener, spicy brain for us, when we talk about it, maybe that means you have or have not been diagnosed with ADHD. Maybe that means you have or have not been diagnosed with autism. Maybe that means that you just understand that you have 500 tabs open all the time and you're learning how to shut them down and how to organize. Because when you have that type of brain, and my personal belief, as you know, is that just means you're really fucking smart. Like
Yeah.
you are very, very, very smart.
Hmm.
You were given this incredible skill set and gift. And it's kind of like having one of those old floppy disks and
Yes.
shoving it into a brand new computer. Actually, it's the opposite. It's having an old floppy disk type of computer and shoving a fucking CD-ROM into it. Like,
Yes.
it's difficult sometimes. And then on top of it, when you have high sensitivity, which comes with high emotions usually, and you can feel things and you have to learn how to work those dials and turn them on or off and the antennas. I'd love to go into that. What's that been like for you?
Let's go. Okay, so I have so many thoughts and feelings on this because it's something that I used to hate. I used to hate the fact that I couldn't concentrate very well, that I could have four screens on at one time with different things, and I knew what was happening on every single one. But now it's a freaking superpower. Like
Fuck yeah.
truly, like I'm able to, like, for example, like I've talked about my creativity. I'm not only creative, I do creativity. I do archiving as a thing that I'm trying to do for grad school. I want to go to grad school. Like I am, I read, I think I'm reading 3 books right now. And so like all of these things, it's like, yes, it's a lot, but I wouldn't give it up for anything in the world at all.
Mm. What are some of your systems?
Oh, I have so many systems. So I have a very complex system that is both paper and digital. What I have is I have my Google Calendar, which has like all my like things for the day, but I usually use my bullet journal specifically because I'm a very tactile person. So writing things down is like makes the brain happy.
Yeah.
So my latest system is I do like what I call a daily dashboard on my bullet journal, where I put my
Ooh,
events in a box. I put my dailies habits, so that's writing, movement, water, morning routine, reading, active self-care, and night routine, and then a task box for any additional side quest. And that is my dashboard. And then below that, I journal for the day.
that sounds so perfect.
It really is. Like it just it scratches the brain in such a happy way, like because it
Yeah.
feeds it, right? Like it feeds it of
Hmm.
like I feel organized in what I'm doing with my time. I feel organized in what I'm doing with my body. I feel organized in what I'm doing with my soul. Like it's just so good. It's just so
It
good.
is. It's so good when you learn to work with yourself.
Absolutely.
Like I don't really ever want to say that it's like a fault here, but for a long time human beings were very similar in the way that they learned, and slash or they just were not aware that they learned differently and they thought maybe they didn't learn things as well as others. Like I have friends who, instead of being taught, and I understand this to its core, instead of being taught, hey, you are really smart, this is just how you learn, they were taught, since you don't learn the way that the schools teach and everybody since 1970, 50s, 60s, like that just means you're dumb.
Mhm. Oh
It
yeah.
and it's so fucking easy to believe that bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Like my friend and I that I'm speaking of, I was put in the gifted program because I knew how to mask real well. Like, what up, childhood trauma? You learn to mask real fucking well.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend, who way smarter than me, fucking genius of a human, was put in the classes below. because they didn't learn from an old shitty textbook. And this friend also, we had the same beliefs. We would read things and we knew in our heart from the textbook, we're like, that's not true. We had no reason to know why. Like, I'm just making up an example. This was totally probably not one. It could have been like if reading something about Christopher Columbus founded North, like we would be like, that's there was already people there. Like there,
Mhm.
like like stuff like that. Like we knew in our bodies, like we
Yeah.
knew, and we'd ask questions, and we'd get in trouble. So I didn't ask questions because I was
Mhm.
like, you gotta be quiet and not ask
Yep.
questions because if you ask questions, you get in trouble. My other friend was like, "Fuck that! Tell me why that's not why are what like if you don't." Again, I don't want to use a word that can be triggering, but let's be honest about it. If you don't conform to some
Mhm.
shit, if you have a rebellious spirit and you ask lots of questions, which I think is imperative, it can put you in a space where you're like, oh, okay, fuck, I don't learn like everybody else, or I'm asking too many questions. And that I think is one of the main pieces of realizing that these ways that we learn, the way your brain works, the way you're sensitive, you get there by knowing it, or you get to the place of knowing it's your superpower by figuring out the way you learn, figuring out the way you soak things up and how you understand.
Mhm.
Like, I always will recommend to a woman if she tells me any like cues about her life where I'm like, this bitch has got a spicy motherfucking brain. Like that's
Mhm.
her problem. She has a spicy brain and nobody ever showed her how to use her spicy brain. I'll tell her, I'm like, why don't you go get a sketchbook? Why
Mhm.
don't you go get a sketchbook? Why don't you go get something where it's because like, oh, there's a gnat. That's what you get when you have plants. Like she had done those like pretty planners and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, and I love me a pretty planner. I make them, I sell them, like they're delicious. But sometimes you need to, the creative part of you needs to tell you how it wants to learn. Like the
Yeah.
left and right side need to work together to show you what the next step is. And when you get yourself a sketchbook and you let yourself, or a bullet journal, and you let yourself create it, like you were just talking about,
Yeah.
it satisfies both of those pieces. Those cravings get to lead you forward in the day instead of you feeling paralyzed by, I have 500 ideas and 14 different things on my to do list. Like,
Yep.
that's so fucking much. So,
Yep.
thank you for sharing that system. What other systems do you have?
Well, do you mind if I touch on a little bit about kind of like being punished for your brain? Because I
Please
just want,
fucking do.
okay. So it started small. I re-
That
sorry.
almost came out my nose.
When I was in kindergarten, I refused to do nap time because I wasn't sleepy. So I played in the play area and got in trouble for it. So that's how it began. Everyone should have that should have been a red flag to everyone of like this bitch is on something else, okay? And then it increased with like I didn't do homework because it was too easy. But they interpreted that as, oh, you can't do it, so thus you are dumb. So they put me in therapy for it in third grade, which was funny because I thought I knew more than the therapist, and then he got mad at me, and then they fired me from therapy. But it's fine. And then that kind of like pattern really kept up where I wasn't doing well in normal classes, quote unquote,
Yeah.
because I was bored. I was so bored and nothing was interesting. But they put me in honors English as like a fluke. They were like, you couldn't get in if you tried, but sure, if you want to take it, I got A motherfucking plus
Fuck yes, you
because
did.
I loved that class. And because like in those honors classes, you got to do presentations, you got to like make boards and stuff. I loved it. It was the best. And then college was kind of similar, where it's like high school, I was so bored. And then I went to college, I was like, oh my God, you actually could take classes and things you like. Oh my God. And like it truly was like, and then things that I miraculously almost failed, were not in things I liked. Or writ biology. But just as an example, and so I think being punished for being excited for what you want to do is such a big thing for people with spicy brains. And it has luckily not traveled with me as I've gotten older. My partner, spicier brain than me, and it's the best thing ever. Like how we manage to do anything is a miracle, but we do, and it's because of these systems. See, that was my transition.
I
Boom.
am.
So our big thing is we have a chore list that's in a gold frame that's in our kitchen, and then
Mm,
we do that daily. That's been really nice. We do a couple meeting, and I suggest a meeting with yourself if you aren't in a couple, but
mm,
literally break it down with like things that need to be done today, things that should have been done yesterday, and things that need to be done in the future, and try to attach a
mm.
deadline to them. That is
Yes.
crucial. Crucial.
Yeah. Oh, I love having a spicy brain partner as well.
Hmm.
Like Travis and I mean, very different. Our brains work very different, but we have found systems for ourselves that are similar. Like we have so many calendars,
So
so
many.
many
Oh my
calendars.
God.
Like I have this is like 3 to 4 months right here in whiteboard calendar. I have a whiteboard calendar in the kitchen that shows my work schedule because he's so fucking incredible and he likes to be very aware. So he's not making the dogs bark when he comes home. So like
Yeah.
he knows when all the stuff is happening and he requested that, which is of course because he's great. But then we have our chalkboard calendar that's like, okay, what do we have to get done? Where are we going? When are we traveling? When are we going to go see family? And then we always move things. We're always trying new
Mm,
systems. Like as soon as one, like the season of it has ended,
yep.
2 to 3 months is usually how it goes. We'll start a new one. We just started this new one about maybe a month ago now. And so we have like there's these lines. It's a to-do list on the actual calendar itself, but it's right beside all the different weeks. So I drew like these little arrows. And so for each week, there is 2 different tasks, but I've actually written in 4 for us because 2 for each person. And for each week, it's either a really difficult, like, I don't fucking want to type of task that needs to
Yeah.
get done, or it's a task that's super fucking easy, doesn't take a lot of
Mm,
energy. And so each week we're picking at least one thing off that. We can do all of it if we want to, but at least something. So like this week for us, I mean, we've been in the retreat together and obviously full moon, super moon, eclipse, we are fucking drained. We're tired.
big boy.
You're killing it by the way with this energy right now. But
I'm doing
like
my best.
you are fucking nailing it. But like for me, like I just started my period that was super late. My bleed always comes later with eclipses. So I'm like, I'm cashed. Like I
Mm,
told you before we pressed record, I'm like, I'm hanging with Savannah. I'm doing a little bit of admin work and I'm fucking Audi 500 today. Like I don't want to be doing any kind of work. And like on these weeks, I'll pick folding laundry because I'll just sit and slowly fold laundry. Like I have a pile, like most people with spicy brains, and I'll go fold that laundry slowly while I'm listening to something that's meditative or something. And then it's a task getting done. And when I take that fucking chalk marker and I cross off that fucking to do box because I make little boxes, that's a
hmm.
rush. That feels
Uh,
so good when you
the
check off.
best.
I think it was in Matthew McConaughey's book, Green Lights. He talks about how
Mm.
he does it too. I think he has a spicy brain. But like he's like, I love a checklist. I love crossing off boxes. He's like, I'll put shit on that box just so I can cross it off. I'll put take a
Hell yeah.
shit just so I can cross it off. And that's how I feel. Like if I did anything extra in my day, the list that I have ongoing, especially for business, because like I'll spicy brain and do like 10 extra fucking
Oh
side
yeah.
quests, like you said, I'll write that shit in and be like, look what you did today. Look what
Yep.
you did, you bad bitch. Do you do
Hell
that
yes.
too?
I do. Well, because my thing is, if I don't write it down or I have evidence of what I've done nothing. And
Yeah.
then that makes me feel like incomplete. But the one thing I wanted to say, so I have the biggest pro tip for anyone who is a creative person who has a spicy brain. And I've told you this before, but I have to share. I have to share the knowledge.
Of
The
course.
mason jar method.
Yes.
So, for anyone who's a creative who has 1,000 projects, because if you're like me, you are trying to work on a book of poetry, a short story, a novel, a graphic novel, a screenplay, a regular play, whatever it is, doesn't even matter. Put every single project that you have into a mason jar. Just put on a little slip of paper, and what you have to do is you have to pick from it, and whatever you picked, you have to work on for 25 minutes. It
Mm,
can be staring at it, could be reading it, could be editing, could be revising, doesn't matter. You only remove it from the container once you finish it. And
mm.
bing bada boom, there you go. You get stuff done. It has made me complete things that I never thought I would complete.
Such a good pro tip.
Oh, so good.
You're a genius. You really fucking are. You're very smart.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I hate that
It's
kindergarten teacher who said I wouldn't amount to anything because
you
I want you
amount,
to.
you amounted to everything. They were so wrong.
Hmm.
I feel like you are at the cusp
Hmm.
of just the biggest explosion.
God, you sound like my oracle. I literally, so I got a new Oracle deck for my birthday as a present to myself, which arrived on my birthday, which I feel is a good sign.
Yes.
And I pulled a card, and it was the sheep, and I don't remember the flower, but it meant it's like origins, and it was like this is the beginning of something new. You need to be ready. And I went, I just pulled this deck, didn't cleanse it or anything, so I'm like, it doesn't know what it's talking about. Cleansed it, shuffled it 13 times, get the same card. And I was like, okay, okay, loud and clear. I'm listening. I swear. I'm not, I won't begrudgingly not. Yes, exactly. Heard. Yeah. I feel I am also on the cusp. And it's such a scary feeling because it's such a feeling of like when something big is happening or about to happen and it's just a day. Like I'm going to move through the hours of today doing what I normally would do, but I feel the rise of something coming and it's so icky.
You know, one sec. Can you hear
No
me?
problem.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
Yes, you're good.
Oh, well, that'll happen. Okay. I'm not even going to edit that out. We're just going to keep it. It's in working with you for the last, fuck, how long has it been?
A
9?
year.
It's been a whole year?
It's been pretty much a year because it was either October or September of last year.
Oh, I love that. Happy
Yeah.
anniversary to us.
Thank
I love
you.
that. Um, and working with you, I know that there's a lot that you have, let go and dropped and set down. There's a lot that you've called in and you filled back up with. I know that there's stories you've released. I know that there's courage that you've built, um, realizations, just so many pieces. And I have to say that after listening to so many incredible pieces of your story today, I I can see how this collective energy of a 15 to 17 year cycle ending for so
Mhm.
many of us, I can see that in you in bigger ways today than I ever have. So I would love to hear from you. What have you finally set down? It's part of your story, but it's no longer something you carry. What have you done that's been with you for the last 15 to 17 years?
Ooh. The fear of being seen is probably the biggest one, and that's good. That's huge because I'm someone who, like, for example, this is I'm speaking to the universe. Fuck it. I want to do burlesque. That's something I've always wanted to do. I love performance. I love the act of cabaret. Like it's one of my favorite things in the world. But I've been so scared to do it. I mean, that's performing for people. It's there's literally layers of fear to it that I'm pulling back like a rose. But in the butt of it, what it is, it's being seen and being fully in my body.
Mm.
So I'm going to be working on that before the end of the year. I plan on
Oh,
going to classes and like getting skilled in it so I can at least like have some backing and then hopefully performing next year.
Savannah, where are you at? Do you mind saying your location? You can
Yeah.
say no.
Oh, it's fine. Raleigh, North Carolina.
Okay. I need you to let me know
Okay.
in advance. Give me a few
Okay.
months. I'm fucking coming. I'm gonna show up. I want to be there for your first fucking performance.
Okay.
And you may or may not notice that there's other Brazen Sisterhood women that are sitting there in the crowd. Like
Yes.
I would love and be honored to be there. That is, oh, just hearing that made my butthole clench. Like
Yeah.
that is, oh my God, so much confidence and courage and determination and passion. That's so much you're doing. I am so fucking proud of you.
Thank you. It's the kind of thing where like I said, saying out loud makes it feel really real. But it's something I've always wanted. Like there is this is gonna sound so silly, but there was a moment a couple years back. I think it was a big transitionary period for me where I was in North Carolina, but I wanted to live somewhere else. And my mom and I took a road trip to Maine where I was like, I want to move to Maine. So she was like, hey, let's go up and look at places. And we're in some sea motel in the middle of Pennsylvania with little bottles of alcohol and Philly cheese subs, and we're just hanging out. And I start dancing, like, and it was. And it's so interesting to me because I really remember that moment of being like, I feel so free in this moment where nothing is holding me back. And then I like did a little thing, and then my mom went, I don't know who you were just then, but you weren't yourself, and it showed, and it was powerful. And I was like, thank you.
Okay, we gotta stop right here, girl. I'm coming in
Okay.
as Coach Heather.
Okay.
Who is that part of you?
I think so it's so funny you asked that specific question. So I actually wrote this in the notes to talk about. So one of your visualizations that you did a few months back, I was introduced to someone, and it was a higher self visualization, and it was a woman on fire. And so I was kind of panicking of being like, who are you? Like, are you in pain? And she's like, oh, hell no, I'm not in pain. And I was like, okay, this is a little intimidating. But that's exactly the feeling of who she is. My higher self is a woman on fire. She is untouchable. She is the brightest of lights. Her will is powerful, indomitable. Like, truly, that's who she is. And that's who I am deep down, is this beautiful woman on fire. That's who she is.
Oh, fuck, Savannah. Say it again. Who are you?
I'm the woman on fire.
Fuck, yes, you are. Oh, I'm so proud of you. There's just been so much growth and I haven't even seen it all. We haven't even
Yeah.
talked about it all. Like,
No.
look what you've done.
Yeah. Look what everyone has the potential to be.
I agree. And I love that that's who you are, that you put that light out, but I'm bringing it back to you. Let's fucking bring that lighthouse, put it in a mirror. Look what
Yeah.
you've done.
Yeah.
You're an incredible human being.
Thank you. So are you.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
I
I
appreciate you.
appreciate I appreciate you being here and sharing your story and talking about some hard shit.
Yeah. I'm really happy to be here in so many ways. I mean, it's the fangirl in me who is like finally able to it's like oh, the visualization thing's happening again. I'm a very visual person. It's the little girl standing outside of a store window looking at the poster of her favorite hero. Like that's what it is.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is such an incredible moment to have you here.
Yeah.
I'm really trying not to cry right now. I just started bleeding, so I am so emotional as it is.
Oh, if you want to cry, I can make you cry. Beautiful, happy tears.
Let's hear it. I could use a cry. That's what this time's
Okay.
for.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Let me suit
Okay.
up. I'll take the
Yep.
glasses off so I can be prepared. I got
Okay.
Kleenex.
Heather,
Hmm.
you have changed me in such ways that I could never, ever expect from another human being. You have made me realize that I am capable of whatever I set my mind to. You made me realize that intuition is not a scary thing. It's something that's in all of us and that we can connect to and be a part of who we truly are. You have helped me in my visualizations to the point where I can see a future for myself. And that's just me. And I've talked to the other women of the Brazen Sisterhood, and they feel that and more. So thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck, I love you guys so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
We
Thank you.
are we are we are creating something pretty fucking awesome here, man.
We are just
Damn
have to
it!
nerve.
It won't stop. They're just like I can feel them squirting out of my like I just keep trying to push them.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fuck.
Mm.
I'm just so grateful that you came on and you have here about what you're grateful for, sitting in appreciation and gratitude for living in the best era of my life. I just I just think about the part of you, the version of you, a young woman who said, I just want to make it to 31.
Yeah.
You are just absolutely blowing away all of her expectations.
Oh yeah. I
And
see her
like,
sometimes, as weird as that may
oh,
sound.
it
Like,
doesn't sound weird.
yeah, where because like I said in my visualizations, I have this woman on fire, but sometimes, oh, I'm gonna cry now. Um, oh fuck it. Okay. Oh, so one of the earliest visualizations you had was picturing yourself in a house, and it was the house where you as a little girl lived. And when I was walking through this house, it's a haunted house. It's a very classic, 1930s Transylvanian haunted house with cobwebs in the corner, creaky floorboards, the wood a little too old. And I remember opening the door, and it's just my little girl self who looks so misplaced. And I realized that she's been haunting there for way too long.
Mm,
And through your visualization, I was able to take her hand and lead her out so the house wasn't haunted anymore.
mm. It's pretty incredible how we can become our own best healer with such ease.
Yes. We just need to be given the tools and have a
Mm.
good mentor
I
and a
am
coach.
grateful and honored to be there, man. I'll tell you, it's a gift that, as many of us, like these gifts that we have, it takes time to realize that they're gifts and to refine them. And sometimes they start out as a piece of shit and you got to make it gold. And
Mm-hmm.
these visualizations, they change me too every single time. And every single time that I hear from a woman that even the smallest change came, I mean, even just I was happier the next day than I have been in a few weeks. Like, even if it's just that, it's just, it makes my, like, I think of like my, the saddest parts of my days of being like between, we'll say like 12 to 18, those
Yeah.
years. Like, I just feel so proud of her because this is her. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's her voice. That's her listening to so much intuition and trusting it and going with it. And it's really, as you know, it's fucking so scary to put yourself out there and to lead anything with your voice and with your intuition, whether it's meditations and visualizations or leading in any way, writing as you write, like you're putting yourself out there and you're
Yeah.
letting yourself be seen and heard. And it's just always the best experience. And I am always so grateful to find that, you know, it's better than I expected
Yeah.
each time. It's
Every time.
every time. And it's just such validation that this is a gift that I just so honored to have. I don't know how I must have picked this one out of a hat right before I came down to earth because
Mm.
those visualizations, they come in and I just trust whatever comes out. And to hear that they help women do the work that you did, like it's such a cool thing when you recognize, like I said, that you are your own best healer. Like
Yeah.
you do need to have your team and you need to have support and guidance and tools. But to recognize that you are your own best healer is the most empowering moment. And it allows you to take back so much power and to trust yourself so much more. And to recognize that inside of this, beautiful, it's a lot more of a feminine way of doing the work. Inside of this really beautiful feminine energy and where this work lives, it can just be one experience that's so incredibly emotional and it changes your life forever.
Absolutely. And I remember the first visualization that you did. It was, what was it? Was like, I think, oh, I actually remember. It was the retreat last winter, I
Ooh.
believe, because I had messaged you and was like, I'm so poor. And you were like, you know what? I feel that you need this. I got you. And then you did that for me. And oh, I'm gonna cry. Hold on. God. Okay. And I remember the visualization. It was a very simple one. The fact of like it was just imagining yourself and imagine that you are having a conversation with yourself. It was something like that. And I was sitting in this black room, which I was like, okay, reminds me of the scene from Stranger Things when it's 11, like in the underside. And all of a sudden, the room transformed into this beautiful, like plant nursery, and it was just teeming with life. And I saw myself digging, and
Mm.
it was what inspired the piece that I wrote for the newsletter about the
Oh,
garden.
yeah.
Yeah. And so it
Oh,
was me digging, and I was like, "Why are you digging?" And she went and talked to me. So I was like, but then like through watching her, I realized that she was ready to plant something, and that was the visualization, that the very first one, and that's how I knew
mm,
it was going to be good.
fuck, I'm so glad we crossed paths.
Me too. Life is so weird because I was so stubborn. I was so stubborn thinking that I didn't need anyone else, that I'll figure it out on my own, or like, I'll journal my way into being better, which you totally, in some ways you can, but I couldn't. That's just
Yeah.
very, very blatant. I could not.
Yeah.
And it took one casual listen to a podcast to help me plant the seed of change.
Mm. And now you're doing that for someone else.
Exactly.
What do you have to say to the person that's listening right now?
The main thing to say is you deserve to be seen, you deserve to be loved, and you deserve to find the people who want to call you friend.
Mm. I'm just gonna sit with that one for a second. Listener, if you're driving, don't close your eyes, but if you can, shut your eyes. Give us a little bit more on that, girl.
Okay. Yes, I feel the
Yeah.
visualization is coming. Okay. Um, Life is so much more beautiful with you in it. And it would be a lie to everyone, including yourself, to say otherwise. You have every right, every declaration, every reason to be here in this moment, no matter where you are in your healing journey. And you have every right to take up space and claim it as your own.
Mm. Damn, lady.
Yeah. So it's good.
It's good. It's good. It's real good. All right. Well, you're for sure coming back on, yeah?
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay, good. I figured. I mean, we already talked about it, but I'm really excited to have you continue to come on. I feel like our conversations are always fantastic, anyways, and there's just so much more to talk about.
There is. Well, this happens so naturally because like we've like talked in spurts and like little casual, but not like this. Like
Yeah.
this felt good.
Yeah, I liked
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I think what I would also like to do, this just came up and it's something we can chat about later. But like the feeling of maybe having a few of the Brazen Sisterhood women come on together, like maybe just like three of us or possibly four, where we could all just kind of chat.
Hell yeah, a round table, a brazen round
Yeah.
table. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like that. You like
That'd be
that?
cool. Yeah, that would be cool.
All right. Well, we're gonna have to put that together. That's gonna be something
Yeah.
else. I'll have to talk to Anastasia because she's the one that reached out to
Yes.
me. Did I tell you what happened with that real quick? Did I tell
No.
you? So it was about a year and a half ago now, I want to say, April, who has been my right hand lady, my intern and my assistant for quite a while now. She was doing a lot of her own spiritual work and she was really learning how to tap in more with a lot of things. She was one of the front runners and guest speakers in the Brazen Sisterhood event about a year and a half ago now. And she had this come through and she's like, Heather, I just have to tell you, like, this won't leave me alone until I talk to you about it, that I see you leading this movement. And she's like, and I can actually see like this poster where it's you in the middle and there's all these women around you with like headshots or whatever as well, and it's your panel of experts, it's your
Mm.
tribe, and you're coming forward and you're bringing them with you and you're like, all right, this is like whatever. And I'm like, I feel that. That's a yes. That's a whole full body yes.
Hell yeah.
And at that time I was like, well, what, how do I create that by myself? Like not by
Right.
myself, but like the back end portion to hold it and hold that
Yeah.
container. And at that time, I did pieces. The Brazen Sisterhood event was something very tied to it. And I just remember like April was so specific. She's like, I can see like this fucking poster, Heather. Like it's so clear. She's like, it's like a marketing or something. Anastasia came to me and she was like, hey, yo, I had this vision, this channeled message that came through, and I just have to tell you about it. And she ended up sending me like, it was like a fucking 15-minute voice clip. She's like, I have got to tell you, like, I've got to get this to you. You have to hear it. And I was like, it's important. Heard. Like,
Yeah.
it's super important. Same shit.
Wow, that's
Down
so
to the
cool.
poster, like, down to the poster. And I was like, I know, like, I literally, like, up to the sky, I was like, I am. Like,
Yeah.
what else? Show me the steps. So I feel like this is such a good step in that piece. And I'd love to kind of talk to Anastasia about being one of them, where we can all just sit here and we can talk. And I feel like, in my intentions with the Brazen podcast is so many things, including that I want our listeners, I want the people that are tuning in to feel like they're just sitting here chatting with us and hanging out.
Mhm.
Like I want to have such an open, loving, compassionate, and also like fucking fun and like be who you are, show up as you are type of
Yeah,
vibe. And I feel like that would be so amplified if there was a group of us sitting here and we were all in that energy, because it's very much
absolutely.
a like, come sit with us. You always have a seat here. Come sit
Mhm.
with us type of vibe.
I love that. No, I think that's a great idea. And I also think just spitballing here. I don't know, because
Yeah.
the gut in me says having it be that space where people can come and like I don't know. I see my social media brain is like you can do polls with it and things like that where you can do sound clips to have people vote on things of discussion points to talk
Ooh.
about. Yeah. I don't know. You do the magic. I believe in you, but it's something in there.
You can probably also just tell me whatever you want to tell me. Like send me a book. I I will tell you, I'm an experimenter. Like, and I think
Mhm.
actually now that I'm saying this, I think Anastasia, and is it you? Are you a great experimenter
I
in human
am.
design too? Okay.
Yep.
So like I am experimenting and trying all these things within the business and, learning and working with coaches and mentors and applying. And it's just always incredible to me because it never fails. I'll put it out there like, yo, I don't mind experimenting, but can you just like give me more clear direction on how to make this happen? Because I don't want to spend the next 5 months doing this. Like, I want to do it now. And it always happens that a woman now, usually from the sisterhood, is where I find these moments happening where y'all are like, hey, Heather, did you know that there's like this thing that we can use? Like, it's like this tool online. And I'm like, yo, that's exactly the fuck what I was saying I needed like yesterday.
Yeah.
So I feel like, and this came up for us recently. That's why we started doing like the optimization chat and started talk. Like, this is something that's been so alive. So I feel like maybe that's something we do is we all come together and we just like, it's the Brazen Sisterhood. It's all of us together. Like, maybe we ask
Mhm.
everybody like, how do we want to do this? How do we want to start putting more faces into the podcast and bringing more of all of us into this so that way we can have conversations together? I'm down. I say we have that
Yeah.
combo.
Oh, 100%. Without question.
Mm, gosh. Okay, I just kept you here like an extra 30 minutes. Sorry and thank you.
It's okay.
All right. So, to end all of them, as you know, we like to ask the audience to be kind to themselves, be kind to others. And I am going to go ahead and take the be kind to others.
Mhm.
Why don't you go ahead and let them know how to be kind to themselves this week?
Everyone listening, be kind to yourselves. Be kind to others. I totally stole that from you. I'm so sorry. It just came out of me. Just be kind. Love
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
No,
Mm, I love that. Just do it.
just
Just,
do it.
it's not that, I mean, it is that hard sometimes, but just fucking do it.
Let it come naturally and see why it's so hard to do it in the first place.
Mm, that'll get you there for
Yeah.
sure. For being kind to others, I'm going to ask you guys to. This has been my journey recently, so let's all do it together. I want you to think of a person in your life that makes your skin crawl. Somebody that you're like, they fucking rub me the wrong way, right? As we know, life's a mirror. So there's probably something you're seeing that you need to take a look at, anyways, in that person. So there's that piece. But regardless of that, let's bring it more into a focus. And I'm going to ask you to send the person that makes your skin crawl love. I'm going to ask you to do it for a week. Every day for a week, I want you to think about that person that makes you just want to punch a wall, Kyle style. And I want you to send them love and be like, I hope they have a great fucking day and mean it. And if you also want to send the bird, like if you're like flipping the air off, you're like, have a great day, but like, do what you got to do, feel your feelings. But I think that that's one of the most important pieces that's come up for me recently. And it's a revolving door. It's once a season, it comes up like, bitch, why don't you be nice to some people? Because some people suck, as Tom Segura would say. Like it just, that's life. And I think that it's our job to not only have boundaries and to, like you said, have discernment and understand, but it's also our job to keep our fucking selves in check, keep our energy in check, keep what we're putting out in check. And just because somebody might be difficult to love, that doesn't mean that you disregard them. You don't have to be around them. You can have that boundary, but the people that are the hardest to love are usually the people that need the most.
Amen.
So that's how I'm going to leave it. Sound good?
Sounds beautiful.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Savannah. I will see you very soon, I'm sure. And thank you, listener. Please do us a favor and head over to the Brazen Sisterhood. Join us in there. We would love to see you in there. We'd love to have you be part of our community. If you're not quite ready to join the Brazen Sisterhood and hang out with us all the time, especially on monthly calls quite yet, why don't you at least leave us a comment or send me a DM, send Savannah a DM. Also, P.S. Savannah, you want to let them know where they can reach you real quick?
Yeah, no, fantastic. You can reach me on Instagram at the picture of Savannah, or you can
Mm-hmm.
reach me on my website, which is swadethewriter dot format dot com.
I love that. S. Wade, the writer. I love
I
that.
know it has a good ring to it, right?
It does. It really does. Yeah, send us a message because if you're listening to this podcast and maybe you're in the space that Savannah was, like she had talked about, I didn't even fucking. I mean, maybe you've told me at one point, but I might talk to too many people to recall details. But like maybe you were like Savannah and you were listening to the podcast. Maybe you're doing that right now. We've never really talked, and you're like, man, you know what? I think I do want to be part of a community of people that just are fucking cool. Come and join us, try it out. That was one of the things, like Savannah, she was like, hey, I'd really love to do it. I'm like, well, why don't you be there then? Why don't you just come? Like, this is not the type of community that is going to require you to break the bank in a way that doesn't feel good to you. It's not the type of community that's going to require that you're there all the time. I don't want you on your phone all the time. I don't think you need to be on your phone all the time. There's time, money, and energy that we spend. And my goal with the Brazen Sisterhood and in anything that I do is to help you fill up those cups, to help you learn how to fill up your energy cup, how to have more time in your day to do things that you love. And also, my goal is to make all of us wildly wealthy so we can change the world a lot easier. So there's that too. All right. I'll see you all soon. Thank you again, Savannah. I just fucking adore you. We'll see
You're
you
so,
guys.
so welcome.
We'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.